Please welcome to the stage Eric Smith of the Civic Committee and BMO, Rosemary Matzl of ITW, and Mary Kate Daly of Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here for the Win-Win Summit. I'm Eric Smith. I'm a Vice Chairman at BMO and a proud member of the Commercial Club. I'm pleased to be joined by two esteemed community leaders and friends, Rosemary and Mary Kate. But before I get started, I just wanted to give a little bit of perspective around the Commercial Club and Civic Committee. For those of you who may be familiar, the Commercial Club has really been focused on helping to drive and invest in economic growth throughout the Chicago area. And it's a membership organization with over 400 senior executives that come together to really focus on this work. And we've been doing that for over 150 years now. Within the Commercial Club, there is the Civic Committee, which is comprised of 100 or so CEOs that are major employers here in the Chicago and Illinois area. And it's the action arm of the Commercial Club that really focuses on tackling the most complex issues in a nonpartisan way. Some of the key initiatives that we focused on in the past have been around school funding or the underfunded pension liability issue, thinking about the O'Hare Expansion Initiative, or most recently the transformative proposals that we've made around transportation and the legislation that has helped to reshape METRA and CTA. Several years ago, the Civic Committee really took a pulse of our CEOs to understand what was top of mind for them, and public safety was the #1 issue. How do we address the issue of violent crime in our city? And Jim Crown, who many of you may know, led that effort. And we approached it from the standpoint of really doing an honest assessment of what are the underlying issues and root causes of violent crime in Chicago, and what could we do to address that. We engaged the Boston Consulting Group, the University of Chicago Crime Lab, and we put in place a goal to make Chicago one of the safest big cities. And in doing that, we recognized that we needed to see a 75% reduction in the rate of homicides and violent crime just to be on par with cities like New York or LA. We approached it by doing what the business community does best, which is being able to raise needed capital and resources. So we committed to raise $100 million to invest in community violence intervention organizations to help them scale up. Those organizations like CRED, which is led by Arnie Duncan. We also focused our efforts on ways to think about community and economic development. So you can think about the Discover call center that's in Chatham, and ways that our businesses can invest in communities by helping to focus on driving that economic growth. The third area was how do we think about really providing effective law enforcement here in the city and working with the Chicago Police Department, particularly in an environment where we've got $1 billion deficit at the city and a $3 billion deficit at the state. How could the business community do its part in being very intentional on raising the needed funds? And then the last area is really what we do best, and that's around hiring. And so that's what brings us here today, is our Hire Chicago initiative, which I'm very excited to share with you. As we thought about some of the key issues as it relates to public safety, you won't be surprised to know that as we looked across all of the different Chicago communities, the communities that had the highest rate of unemployment were also the communities that had the highest rates of crime. And so it became apparent to us that we needed to focus on that issue. As we talked to employers across the Chicagoland area, they were also experiencing several challenges that were pretty common across the board. It was a shortage of pipeline and talent. It was high turnover, particularly for frontline roles and opportunities. And it was also difficulty filling certain frontline positions where you required people that had a sense of growth and potential. And so we, as a committee, put in place Hire Chicago, not as a civic engagement, but as a workforce development strategy. And we did that with the goal of saying that we want to create 20,000 jobs over the next 5 years, and to make sure that we're hiring from those communities that have been underinvested in for many, many years. We approached this by first focusing on what are the opportunities that we could build a greater pipeline, And so we targeted 20 communities across Chicago. Austin, Auburn Gresham, Garfield Park, Englewood, Lawndale are the communities that we're looking to identify that talent. Second, we're focused on the retention. So we're partnering with Cara Collective, which is an excellent organization that has a track record of showing that they're able to retain roughly 60 to 90% of their workers within the first year. And then lastly, we're putting in place operational excellence to make sure that we're able to provide the workforce development training and development and the wraparound services to allow these employees to be successful in their roles. So now I'm excited to turn to our two colleagues here, Rosemary and Mary Kate, and let them share a little bit about their own experience. When I think about the work that ITW has done, particularly on the west side of Chicago, it really has been a standout for many of us, and I'd love for you to share your insight on the workforce issues that you were trying to address as part of that solution.
Sure. Thanks, Eric. So for ITW, we're a global manufacturer, 300, Fortune 300, 43,000 employees around the world, and we work delivering a corporate social responsibility strategy with flexibility within the framework. But we were founded here in Chicago in 1912, and so we really felt that, we were addressing workforce issues in the manufacturing field, but when our beloved chairman and CEO David Spear passed away, we wanted to do something to honor his legacy, and we felt education was the way to go. And in looking at education across Chicago, Austin stood out as one of those communities where it was an academic desert for open enrollment high schools. So in 2014, we opened the ITW David Spear Academy High School in Austin, built it. Very rare to find property in Chicago, but we found a lumber yard for sale by owner on 5 acres, so we bought that and built a brand new high school. And today we are over enrolled at about 1,200 kids. We have a wait list of about 1,000. And it's a STEM high school, so we're introducing students into careers that are high in demand in the STEM field. What differentiates this high school probably from any other one, first of all, it's a Noble high school, so it's part of this Noble network. One is the Summer of a Lifetime program. So when a student is the summer that they are a rising junior, Noble sends the top 10% of their other high schools to a university experience. And we really felt that top 10% is going. So we wanted to invest in 100%. So 100% of these students get a Summer of a Lifetime experience, which is anywhere from a week to 6 weeks, anyway from UCLA to NYU and everything in between, where they go to a university, they live in the dorms, they get to experience it, take STEM-related classes, and then come back. The second differentiator is in their senior year. Instead of going to school on Fridays, they do an accredited internship with an employer. So we take them, Lurie Children's takes them, employers all across Chicago. And what they're doing is taking an accredited internship with meaningful work.
Working together for some time and building that trust, we started to think about what if a trusted community partner came together with a large institution to actually build a building that would help to reinforce the economic development and health opportunities in this community. So right now, this building is under construction. It's called the Austin Hope Center. I was there this morning at a hard hat tour. It's 25,000 square feet, and it was going to have pediatric specialty care, mental and behavioral health services, as well as space for community health programming. And we also hope that it serves as really the hub of our workforce development efforts. So we're doing that in all sorts of ways now. We're excited about Hire Chicago and working with them, working with other partners. I see some of them in the room, Skills for Chicago and CARA and Corporate Coalition and others. But we're also taking a really hyper-local approach, and we recently did a session at a coffee shop just up the road from the building where our wonderful people team members came to the coffee shop to just talk with the community about current jobs in this facility as well as across Lurie Children's. And so I heard our previous speakers talking about the importance of just like building those relationships as you're doing this hiring. And so we're starting to do all of that, really hyper-local focused in the Austin community.
Thanks, Mary Kate. Both you and Rosemary have shared just some really transformative success stories, and you make it sound easy, but all of us here in the room know that it's not. Could you share, for instance, a couple of lessons learned where you had to make adjustments along the way?
Yeah, I think, for us it was, we have a great HR department with an outstanding recruitment strategy and so forth for workforce development, but then finding the right external partners, like CARA, like JARC, like Manufacturing Renaissance, and a great partner in United Way to really kind of lead those efforts. I also know, I spent 22 years in HR before I moved into the space of corporate social responsibility. And what I love about corporate social responsibility and community affairs is there's no competitive intelligence. So we can network and really learn from one another and just continue to build. And I would encourage, that being one lesson is to really lean into your counterparts who are doing great work for other organizations as well.
I fully agree on the partnerships piece. That is huge, and we used to more rely on individuals on our people team to go to the career fairs and go to the sessions and collect the resumes. And then the other piece is it's hard to what happens with all of that, because these are we're all working at large corporations with tons of people applying for these jobs. And so our people team also recently invested in a different CRM technological solutions so that we can now do a better job of tracking people when we meet them out at these events and following them through the process and sending them targeted email campaigns, or when a new job is open, we can reach them more quickly and more directly. So I know our people team will say we're not all the way where we want to be with that, but already it's starting to make a difference. I mean, we just hosted this session at that coffee shop in Austin. It was the end of February, and there was a gentleman who came there and was interested in a job, and our team got his information, sent him a direct link, and ended up following him through the process, and he was hired and starts next month. So we know that this works. It's like we've just you gotta just put in the work and take the time to thoughtfully think about these things.
Great, and I'll just add one as well. At BMO, we've learned to really listen and learn from the organizations that are on the front lines, and I see some of our partners from Care Collective here. We formed a partnership with them several years ago called Be More, and have hired a couple of hundred employees for our call centers and operations, but also as banking associates in wealth. And it's been a really tremendous pipeline for us. But one of the things that we learned was that by simply removing some of the educational requirements, that we were able to see a much stronger pipeline of employees coming in as well. So it's always important to listen to our partners that are on the front lines. Can you share just words of advice for those of us in the room that are thinking about how they can become involved with Hire Chicago?
Get connected, first of all. And again, from a networking perspective, looking at our jobs across the board and kind of outlining that. I think, after the pandemic hit, our commercial club, our Civic Committee, they all looked at the zip codes and where we were present and where there were some gaping holes. And, wherever you are in your city, hopefully you have organizations like what Eric described, and really leaning into that as well.
And I would say, some of you in this room are probably much further ahead. I know ITW and BMO have been doing this for a long time. We keep learning from them and others at Lurie Children's. But I think if you're just kind of getting started on this, just the idea of just start small. Just find whether that means that one community that you're going to focus on, or that one department that seems really motivated to do local hiring. Find that champion. And then over time, we're able to start like we're doing this, proving the ROI on this, and then connecting it to, I heard previous speakers talking about connecting everything we're doing to strategy and to purpose and to our value statements. And so I think if we all kind of start small and then are able to grow it and connect it, and then the impact, and then we'll all be where ITW and BMO are in a few years.
Mary Kate, I think, has ended it on a perfect note for us, and she said, start small. And as we start the week today, I'm really proud that the Commercial Club and Civic Committee stands on the shoulders of Daniel Burnham, who said, make no small plans. And that's really how we believe we can have the greatest impact and make the biggest investments in our city, and how we can make Win-Win, a workplace summit, really successful. So I'd like to thank Rosemary and Mary Kate for joining, and most importantly for the tremendous work that they're leading here in Chicago and across our region. Our ask for today is that you would consider joining us as a partner with Hire Chicago. There is an opportunity for you to make a meaningful difference. As we talked about at the very beginning, some of the goals that we put in place for the Public Safety Task Force to make Chicago one of the safest big cities, that was to do that over a 10 to 15-year period. What I'm proud to share, and many of you have probably heard the reports, is that we've seen our crime level here in Chicago come down to a 40-year low that we haven't seen since 1965. So we truly believe that we can make a difference by working together through public-private partnerships. We truly believe that we can achieve our goal of hiring 20,000 employees over the next 5 years. And so our ask is to join us as partners. Our give is to make sure that we can share our best practices and lessons learned to ensure that we can be successful in working together. And I'm also proud to share that our team member who leads this initiative, Michaela McGill, is standing in the back of the room, and she's here to help make sure that you will be successful and filling this talent pipeline that your companies so desperately need and deserve. Together, we can make a difference in investing in Chicago and making this a safer, stronger city with a thriving economy that works for all. And we know that by having a more inclusive workplace, that we will have stronger financial results and a greater impact. So thank you very much for the opportunity to join today.